Hello to everyone, and Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Well, kinda. I guess it's mostly Shavua Tov. It's hard to tell because it's so rainy. But Shavua Tov, hope you all had a lovely, lovely Shabbat, a restful Shabbat, a joyful Shabbat, the penultimate Shabbat of the new year. I made that mistake yesterday. Yes, it's the penultimate Shabbat of the year. So next Shabbat will be the last one. And so, of course, in a few moments we'll beginning Selichot with you. But before we can engage in Selichot, we're gonna continue with a little bit of Havdalah, this fine evening, and I just wanted to set the stage for us, since it is almost Selichot here, and since it is our Selichot service, share with you a mindful awareness of our circumstances often makes things seem worse and not better. This is an illusion, of course, but it doesn't seem like one, especially when you are in the first throes of discovery, suddenly aware of problems we never knew we had. We may genuinely feel that we are much worse off than we thought we were. We may feel a sense of urgency, even of desperation, about our plight. This urgent, desperate sense is the emotional basis of Selichot. Urgent, desperate prayer that commences and commenced when Elul began, when the month that we're in began, weeks ago, into the process of daily contemplation, which has been peppered with the sound of shofar, and which now brings us closer and draws us closer to the end of Elul and the beginning of a new year. And so we will begin now with our separation from Shabbat into our secular week, our last week that we have heading into the High Holy Days. So please make sure you find your book, your Selichot book, the gold book, and we will begin on page 100.
Lai 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen Borei peri hagafen Lai 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei minei v'samim Borei minei v'samim Lai 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei mirei milrei milrei ha'esh. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ha'eno lechoshech. Ben Yisrael amim ben yom hashvi sheshet yemei hamaseh. Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol, chatotzeinu imchol, zareinu v'chaspenu yarbe kachol, v'chakochavim alayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera ve'yameinu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David.
Now, more officially, Shavua Tov to everybody. Now we have separated Shabbat from the rest of the week. We can begin to move forward with Selichot. Selichot, you may know, begins with a midnight prayer service usually on the Shabbat night prior to Rosh Hashanah. So the question is, why aren't we doing it next week? Why aren't we doing it next week? This is not the Saturday before Rosh Hashanah, because Rosh Hashanah is a week from tomorrow. Well, Shabbat does come first, but hypothetically we could do it. We could do it if we wanted to. There's the rule that if there are fewer than 4 days between the Saturday and Rosh Hashanah preceding it, then you do it the week before. So that is why we do it the week before. Well, the rabbis wrote everything for the rabbi's sake. So that's the answer. Rabbis wrote everything for the rabbi's sake. Everything is from the rabbi's perspective. So yes, not the rabbi's perspective, the rabbi's perspective. Yes. So that is why we continue with Selichot. And so now, as we transition from this moment of separating us into the secular week, we move into the idea that this is the beginning, officially, of the High Holy Days. And so if we have not spent these days leading up to right now and the next few days leading into Erev Rosh Hashanah, listening to the shofar or beginning our conversations with the people that we love, our friends and family, asking them for forgiveness if we have not taken our time for introspection and our time for reflection and our time to think back on our year and see what went beautifully and well, and we can perpetuate, and perhaps what we did not do so well, and we can find ways to improve, then this is the official marker that shows us that this is the time that we do this. Reminding us, of course, that all the praying that we do, starting from right now, all the way until Simchat Torah, all that praying and all the standing and all the sitting and all of the repenting and all of the fasting only works in our reparations and our requests for sorry, our sorry requests only between us and God. They do nothing for the ones that the relationships that we have with our friends and loved ones. If we want to make those reparations, those can only be done when we go face to face and when we ask them for our true forgiveness. And so this officially marks the beginning of that time for us, and we continue now with the words of Hashivenu, which can be found on page 104.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, V'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kekedem. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, V'nashuva, V'nashuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kekedem.
As we slowly remind ourselves that we creep towards the days of Yamim Noraim, of our high holy days, of our days of awe, each piece, each symbol, each moment reminds us, and now we engage in one of those major symbolic moments where we transition our Torah covers also from the regular color into the white color, as we transition also our thoughts, hopefully, into a more purer thought for each of us as we enter the new year. And so we ask everyone to please stand.
We are on page 106. The psalmist sang, "At midnight I rise to give thanks and praise." And so we come to this hour of Selichot under the canopy of night to celebrate goodness, to proclaim what is right and true, to praise, to thank, to bless the great giver who gives and renews our lives. We turn to loved ones, to friends, and to our people everywhere, the whole house of Israel, and our hearts turn toward the human family. We pray for its healing. Yet hardest of all is the inward gaze, the return to ourself, the honest reckoning of the soul, heshbon hanefesh. We ask how to account for selfish acts, lies, and senseless anger, how to account for the shadows, the storms, the bitterness in our lives, the damage and distress we cause, how to own up to it all and find our way back with integrity in peace. We ask, have we the will to change? And if not now, when? We continue on page 110. What is the nature of my heshbon hanefesh this year? What should be my focus as I examine my deeds and my direction from now until Yom Kippur? What is unresolved in my heart? What questions are on my mind? What is unclear, uncertain, and unsettled in my life? What decisions have I been putting off or avoiding? Is there one change I would like to make in the way I'm living my life and relating to other people? When I look over my accounts, what do I see? Which personal qualities need repair and strengthening? What habits of mind, character, and behavior need correction? Which relationships in my life are most challenging at this time?
Shomer Yisrael, Shemor Sherit Yisrael, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, Hamerim Shema Yisrael, Shomer Goy Echad, Shemor Sherit Am Echad, Ve'al Yovad Goy Echad, Ham Yachadim Shimcha Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
In a moment, we will sing and read Kianu Amecha, or Because We Are Your People. With its plethora of images for God, this liturgical poem invites us, through different metaphors, to imagine our relationship with the divine. For many individuals, these words bring comfort as they evoke images of a God that leads, supports, and comforts. For many others, though, these metaphors are problematic. They feel too simplistic in the face of describing the complex and interdependent relationship that exists between people and divinity. I believe the biggest takeaway, though, is the fact that it encourages us to think beyond the narrow definition of divinity as ruler of the universe. Above all, it suggests a theology that is relational, built on our capacity to respond to the other. It teaches that our relationships include needs on both ends, and this becomes important even for those who don't believe in God. During our days of awe, we not only focus on our relationship with the eternal, but on all the relationships in our lives. especially those encompassing love, responsibility, and commitment. May this prayer serve as a tool for exploring the multifaceted nature of those relationships as well. Page 117.
Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu anu vanecha ve'ata avinu anu avadecha ve'ata Adoneinu anu ka'alecha ve'ata chelkeinu anu nachalatecha ve'ata goraleinu anu tzonecha ve'ata ro'einu anu charmecha ve'ata notreinu anu ve'ulatecha ve'ata yotzreinu anu ra'ayatecha ve'ata dodeinu anu segulatecha ve'ata keroveinu anu amecha ve'ata malkeinu anu ma'amirecha ve'ata ma'mireinu.
Let's read the English together. Our God and God of our ancestors, we are your people and you are our God. We are your children and you are our Father, our Mother. We are the people who serve you and you call us to serve. We are your community and you are our portion. We are your legacy and you are our purpose. We are your flock and you are our shepherd. We are your vineyard and you watch over us. We are your work and you are our maker. We are your beloved and you are our lover. We are your treasure and you are the one we cherish. We are your people and you reign over us. We offer you our words and you offer us yours. So forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Page 120. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed l'Halafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'a v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed l'Halafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha v'Chata'a v'Nakeh.
We're on page 127. And we are remaining standing. Let's read together on 127. As the days of awe near,
We reach for the infinite. Mindful of our frailty, we seek the holy. Despite our mortality, we carry within us the Ancient of Days. Despite loneliness within, we sense that we belong to a single soul. a spirit that fills the entire universe. Let us find in that universal spirit a new source of strength and significance, more compassion, more generosity, more gratitude for life. Let our hearts be open to self-reckoning, and may we grasp how vital to our lives is teshuva, the path of return. On this night of forgiveness, we confess our wrongs and take account of sins, failures of judgment, weakness of will. The hour is late, and our need to be forgiven profound.
Page 128.
Ay da 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 da. Ashamnu, bagadnu, gazanu, diban zofi, hevinu, vehirshanu, zadnu, chamasnu, tafanu sheker. Ay da 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 da. Yatsnu kizavnu latsnu maradnu niyatsnu saranu avinu pashanu tsaranu kishinu oref. Ay da 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 da. Rashanu shichatnu tiavnu ta'inu titanu. Ay da 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 da.
Page 131. Let's read responsively. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, we stray and we sin and we fail to make peace the highest good, and when we are silent in the face of evil.
When we forsake those who suffer far away, and when we shun the wronged and destitute among us.
When we diminish God's image through violence or indifference, and when we fail to take care of those who depend on us.
When we engage in slander or deceit, and when we distort the truth for personal gain.
When we judge others rashly or unfairly, and when we stoke the fires of communal strife.
When we fail to embrace Torah, the tree of life, to walk its paths and make its ways our own. We stray and we sin.
When we offer no blessings, no words of thanks for the breath within us and for the wonder of being.
Ve'al kulam Eloha Selichot, Selach lanu mechalanu ka'apelanu. Ve'al kulam Eloha Selichot, Salach lanu mechalanu, salach lanu mechalanu, ka'apelanu.
We're on page 135. You may be seated. 134 and 135. Imagine how our lives might be if everyone had even a bit more of the wisdom that comes from seeing clearly. Suppose people everywhere simultaneously stopped what they were doing and paid attention for only so long as it took to recognize their shared humanity. Surely the heartbreak of the world's pain, visible to all, would convert everyone to kindness.
Shema koleinu וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו. השיבנו אדוני אליך, השיבנו אליך ונשובה, חדש ימינו, ימינו כקדם. אל תשליכנו, אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו. אל תעזבנו. שמע קולנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חוס ורחם עלינו, עלינו. וקבל ברחמים, ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
Every year before the Days of Awe, the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Judaism, held a competition to see who would sound the shofar for him on Rosh Hashanah. Now, if you wanted to sound the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov, not only did you have to sound the shofar like a virtuoso, but you also had to learn an elaborate system of kavanot, secret prayers that were said just before you sounded the shofar, that directed the shofar blasts, and to see that the proper effect would be felt, not only in our realm, but in upper realms as well. All the prospective shofar sounders practiced these kavanot and their soundings for months and months. They were difficult and complex, but there was one fellow who wanted to sound the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov so badly that he had been practicing these kavanot for years. But when this time came to audition before the Baal Shem Tov, he realized that nothing he had done had prepared him adequately for the experience of standing before this great and holy man. he choked. His mind froze completely. He couldn't remember one of the kavanot. He couldn't even remember how to sound the shofar and practice for all those years. He couldn't even remember what to do or what to say or which order to sound each of the different sounds. He just stood before the Baal Shem Tov in utter silence. And then, when he realized how utterly he had failed this great test, his heart just broke. And he began to weep, sobbing loudly. And that's when the Baal Shem Tov said to him, "You're hired." He said, "You opened your heart so deeply. Your opened, broken heart showed your authenticity, showed yourself, showed who you really are. And so do we try to begin these high holidays with our hearts open as we continue now with Avinu Malkeinu, with our reading that gets us into our place of Avinu Malkeinu, which is on page 140. Collectively, let's read number 2 on page 40. Forgive us, Avinu, we have sinned. Pardon us, Malkeinu, we have transgressed. For you are the one who pardons and forgives. Or maybe it's this way. Forgive us, Avinu. Pardon us, Malkeinu. And God replies, no, it's you. You are the one who must pardon and forgive. Forgive the ones around you. You're wasting precious time. Forgive your parents. They did the best they could. Forgive the one who betrayed you. Let go of anger and move on. Forgive yourself for your own imperfection. Together we stand, Avinu Malkeinu. Let's read both the Hebrew and the English together. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ve'al Olaleinu Vetapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Dever Vecherev Vera'av Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu Kotvenu Besefer Chaim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masin. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Choneinu Vaneinu, Ki ein banu masin. Tekiah. Tekiah. Tekiah Gedolah.
Shana Tova Umetuka, health and happiness and beautiful beginnings for all of us as we enter this almost new year together. Thank you again for being here. Shavua Tov, and officially Shana Tova.
Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova tikatevu, tikatevu, tikatevu.
Shana Tova. There are refreshments for us next door in the North Social Hall. We look forward to seeing you in there in a moment so we can start the year off beautifully.
Shana tova.